computer. All right, thank you very much. So Bruce Jones here. I've given a couple other talks here with the WordPress meetup group. I think we started out with like keyword research and then building backlinks and things like that. And then Claire asked me like, hey, I think you mentioned something about the reporting aspect of SEO. And so maybe you'd like to talk about that part. And she said, like there's a new Google version 4 that's coming out. And so that's supposed to be cool. And so I don't know. Yeah. So we'll talk about that, but I have a good answer to that question because there's so many other better tools that are available out there to use. Okay. Let's see what we got here. All right. So me, I've been doing SEO for 18 years. Before that, I was an IT guy somewhere, and they got the place I was working at got a new website and said, hey, is our website optimized? And I said, I don't really know what that means even, Mike, but I'll check it out over the weekend. And so then they asked me if I could do SEO stuff. And I said, oh, I'll try it. And then it was kind of cool. The phone just started ringing. So that was awesome. And then I realized that I could start a business doing that. And I did. And so I had a digital marketing agency for 11 years, had maybe 7 employees at that point in time in a fancy office. And then a couple of employees left. So that hurt. And I didn't really like the design part anyways. I'm really the SEO guy. So I figured out I could just sell the business to a competitor, make a few dollars and walk away. And that's what I did. And maybe 5 years ago now, something like that. So then my wife, she teaches French out of her house. And I tried to find a job working for somebody else, and it was hard. It was, that was before the pandemic even, and nobody was hiring. And so then I said to her one time, I'm like, yeah, too bad I didn't have a business like yours. And my wife said like, well, what's stopping you from doing that? And I'm like, oh, I guess you're right. I could just teach people SEO. She goes, yeah, you do that. You've been doing that for years already anyways. That's part of your SEO thing. So I started a SEO training business. And then sometimes I would hand a business card to somebody and they would hand it back to me and say, oh, no, we don't want to learn. We just want to pay somebody to do SEO for me. And so then I realized I need to start another website, have another business card and go through there like that. And then as part of that, then it ended up kind of evolving into, well, getting job boards and creating a job board. And now I wrote a book. And so, all of that SEO related stuff. Do you have a question, Nancy?
Yeah, you just need a business card that has both the learn and the do sides. Instead of the normal front and back, each side would have.
Yeah, I thought about that. Like, and it's like, it'd be better, because you're this target audience or you're that target audience. It just confuses the issue to make it like that. Kind of is like, oh, you're too cheap to afford 2 business cards. Right? I don't want to be that guy. Okay. So anyway, so now I'm up to the point where every day, 7 days a week, I'm doing SEO. I teach a bunch of people. I think I have like 15 students that I work with on a weekly basis. I have about 20 clients that I'm doing SEO consulting work for. I have a crew of 9 people, nobody in America, everybody's overseas, 7 of them in the Philippines, 2 in Brazil, 1 in Bangladesh. And, some are developers, designers, just virtual assistants helping me with stuff. Done. So that's me. So if anybody, ongoing, if anybody has any questions about SEO, feel free to let me know. My knowledge is pretty easy, free. I'm not the kind of guy that it's like I need to buy a new car. So, I'm going to be any kind of a barrier to knowledge. Yes.
Does it matter when custom-made website or just
yes. Is it easier for to optimize a custom-made website or WordPress or whatever? They all have their own kind of good and bad part of it, like Wix websites or Squarespace or something like that. So there's, I don't know, I guess, yes, it's different for each one of them because it's a different path there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it depends, right? Okay. All right, so what we're here to talk about today is like, how do you measure like SEO success or like how good your website is and things like that. So it kind of comes down to how do you measure it? Like, what are the important things to you? Because there's no out of the box, this is the reports that you should have, because it all depends upon what's important to you and what do you want to measure and how do you gauge success. Okay. So let me just tell a couple stories here related to measuring SEO results. So that place that I was working at, where I was the IT guy, it was a trade show display company, and I was kind of just starting out doing that, and it was working really well. And my boss there, he was kind of he was like a hot-headed, animated sort of guy. But in the end, I look back and it was like he was kind of a good mentor for me, pushed me in good direction sometimes. So there was a meeting we had, and he jumped up out of his chair and pounded his fist on the table, and he said, "I need to know how much money SEO is making me. Like, figure it out." And I was like, wow, that was crazy. That that was a shock. Like, how am I going to do that? And because if you think about all the measurement tools that are out there, nothing really tells you like how much money actually SEO is making you. So I thought long and hard about that. And we had a system that all the salespeople would place an order. And so then there was a lead source field, and I went to our programmer guy and we made that a mandatory field that had to be filled out before somebody placed an order. And then there was like 12 different choices. There was a new client from a newsletter. It was a new, it was a cold call, all these different options. And call from a website was one of the choices. So yeah, we figured out how much money that SEO made by just measuring how many website leads and how much the sales were for each of those. All right, so that's one story. So we see that was important to him, how much money he was making off of SEO and going from there. Another story was a chiropractor in Palos Hills, Illinois. They worked with me for a while. The wife of the doctor was who I was working with. And we parted ways after they were #1 in Google for quite a while. And like, okay, we don't have to keep doing it here. And then maybe 2 years later, she reached out and she said, "Bruce, I don't think that we're getting any more website leads. Seems like something's wrong." And so I was on the phone with her and I did a search for Palos Hills chiropractor. And I'm like, oh, wow, you're no longer are you #1 in Google for Palos Hills chiropractor. That was the only keyword that really mattered. You know what I mean? That was the main one. And that was exactly what they did. And she asked the question, well, what are we #1 for? And I looked it up, and the answer, this is the truth, of ways to use Fels Naphtha soap. That was the answer. So I didn't understand it even myself. Like, how the heck did that happen? And so she said, "Bruce, we heard you tell us that we needed to blog and do that. We partnered with this natural blogger, and the last 3 posts she put on the website was different ways to use Fels Naphtha soap. Because we're, not only just a chiropractor, we're also a natural healing company too." So that was it. Like, Google didn't know that they were a chiropractor anymore, and they thought they did this other stuff. So imagine if they had some measurement tools that was just like a pulse check every month. Where are you for that keyword? Where are you? We're #1. And then they'd be like, oh, we're #5. Like, oh, what's happening? They would have saw that, and they probably went like a year or so before they called and said, hey, it was a long, drawn out process of going down. And it doesn't really matter if you're #7 in Google, you can't do the happy dance because you get 0.02 visitors if you're down at the bottom like that. So being #1, they were good. The phone was ringing every day. Being #5, for example, the phone was ringing once a week, something like that. So that's another story. A third story is working with an accounting company in Naperville, and we're doing some keyword research, and the client's kind of doing it on her own. It was a training client. And so she saw the word Naperville accounting, and it was a higher volume number than Naperville accountant. And she thought, that's the right keyword. And I'm like, yeah, but think about if you were that person, if you're looking for an accountant in Naperville, they're looking to hire a company like yours. If they're just looking for accounting, maybe they're not, they're not trying to drill in and do that. Okay. So that's the third story here. And then so now we could talk a little bit about like different goals. So somebody had coined this a long time ago of SMART goals. So, SMART, so specific goals. So like having something exactly in mind, something that you can measure. It's an actionable item. It's also realistic, like, it's a goal that you could actually get to the top of and related to something of time. I don't know if I don't even, personally, I haven't memorized all of these things here, but I know what's important to me and I just use it like that. But somebody coined this, so it's probably good to just think about all the different pieces of the puzzle and how it might be helpful to you. And by the way, after this presentation, we'll have the slide deck that we can share. So if you wanted to explore a little bit more, and there's some resource pages at the end there too. Here's some different SMART goal examples. Like, so the goal might be to increase the website traffic in the next 6 months to some certain number, or, maybe connect to more people on social media and have it something measurable. One of the things I added into the bottom of this is that often gets overlooked is on your contact form. Most people just have a little pop-up that says, thank you for contacting us. Unfortunately, you can't measure that. But if you have a contact form and then you go to a specific thank you page and the thank you page is invisible, now you can see that somebody opened this page. Who? Only the person that filled in the form. How did they come to you? Oh, they came to you because they came from Facebook or something like that. So now you could divide it up and go right through there, to figure out, like, because you set up your form that way, now you have information that's actionable after that. So everybody understand that part there? So it's real easy inside of your form program. You just have to say, like, what do you do? Just make a thank you page, maybe make the thank you page be not indexed by Google. Don't put the thank you page in navigation or anywhere. Make sure it's not inside of your sitemap. And the only person that can get to that page is somebody that filled out the form. Okay. All right. So this is, you being the business owner, it's important to you to kind of figure it out, whatever is the most important way of measuring the results and going from there. And then there's so many different tools and so many different ways of doing it. It's also a time suck too, because, like, we all only have so much time. And so we have to measure what is important to us. So the next part, and this is kind of in relationship to what I was saying about Claire said, like, oh, well, Google GA4 is coming out and Google says it's really awesome. And so we should all love it and things like that. And then, so this came out just yesterday, where Google got busted for lying to the world about, like, when you turned off tracking where you were being tracked, Google really didn't turn it off so they could still advertise you more effectively. And one of the things there's a guy that actually is the owner or the administrator of another meetup group. It's more of like a Facebook advertising meetup group. And I've attended a couple of his things. And so and he's like an advertising person for auto dealership. And he said, do you know that Google knows when you're going to get divorced before you know? It's like, just because of, like, what's going on. And so then he said, so we start showing those people a thing that says, aren't you ready to get rid of your minivan and get this red Corvette? And so we start hitting them up with that. information. And that's pretty crazy. That knowledge is really out there everywhere, right? So every once in a while, so in my house, my wife and my stepdaughter, she lives in a house there, and I see like ads show up for different things, and I got a client looking over my shoulder, and I'm thinking like, what the heck does this have to, so I don't want to have this ad, but that's just kind of the way it is because we're all on the same IP address, and they think that's true like that, right? I think that other advertisers that are into like maternity products, when they see somebody doing searches for other products, they're like, oh, that person must be pregnant, so let's hit them up with diaper ads and things like that, or childcare, those type of items, right? Okay. So then now we talk about the tools to measure success. And before we start there, maybe Claire, you should look through and see if there's any chats, or anybody chat any questions that I could answer before we kind of get into this part.
Nothing specific right now.
Okay.
But we do have a request. If somebody in the room asks a question, can you just repeat the question? Because the people in the chat can't hear the question if someone in the room is saying it. So just if somebody here says something, just repeat the question
right,
before
so
you answer.
I'm not quite understanding, but you just manage it the best way there. If you
So
don't
if I asked, could you repeat what you just said? You would say, oh, someone asked if I would repeat what I just said.
Okay.
So that people on Zoom hear what I said. Yep.
All right, I understand. Yeah, so I said that I see there's 7 chats, and since Claire's the co-host and she's responsible for that, I was just making sure that she was doing her job well. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yeah, she gets a cut. Yeah, all right. So the first tool we should talk about is the older version of Google Analytics. So it expires on July 1st. It's not like the information you had on the old version of Google Analytics is going to evolve over to the new version. They're pulling the rug out from underneath us and just flipping it over. And I had somebody, a student of mine that actually he invited me to lunch. He came over to my house and we went through, and he's like, oh, what's this email from Google? And I'm like, I don't know, let's do it. Like perfect timing. I'm going to be here at for the meetup. And so then we pushed the button, and basically it said, we'll use the same code, but it's a new version of it. So your old one you just threw away, and now it's the new one. And so he reread it. It says something to the effect of the sooner you start, the more information you'll have, which is true, because if you start today, you'll have more information than if you wait to the deadline and start, because you'll have all of that. But like, what does that matter in the end? But you'll see there's some cooler things or some different options that are out there. One of the, so here we should talk about like how things have evolved, and maybe it might be easier to talk about Google keyword tool. Way back when, 18 years ago, when I wanted to do keyword research, I would do a Google search for the Google keyword tool. There it was. How many times is somebody doing a search for this keyword? Google would tell me. And then, I would export that and put that on a sheet. Now I'm smart. Google's giving me that information. And then Google said, oh, well, you can only get that if you have a Google account. So that forced people to have a Google account. All right, so we have a Google account, no big deal. Oh, you have to have an AdWords account. Like, okay, we'll have to get an AdWords account. Oh, you have to have an active AdWords account. And like, oh, you actually have to spend money to do it. And then Google said, no longer we're going to give you the numbers. We're going to give you a range of numbers. And it's like, oh my God, this is like unusable data now. You can't even sort it or filter it or do anything. So it's like completely nothing. I mean, it's worthless now, all of that. I guess it's maybe good if you're inside of Google Ads and you have the numbers. I'm sure people use it, but there's better tools that are out there. So one of the things with Google Analytics is there's a tool called Keyword Hero. And what it would do was it would bolt onto Google Analytics, and it would give you all of the keywords that people actually search for that found you. and it would, so because that was one of the things that Google Analytics took away over the years, saying, well, for people that are logged into Google, which is everybody, I mean, who's not logged into Google when they fired our computer up, we're not going to show you the keywords that they searched for. So maybe 2% of the people that would be on that list. And so this tool brought it back, like, oh my God, it's a miracle. So it would, like, it's not like Google doesn't know about that information, because that data is inside of Google Search Console. And so this tool somehow put it together. So in preparation for this, I looked up Keyword Hero to say, how are they going to deal with the new version of Google Analytics? So I did a search on their help desk for GA4, nothing. The only thing I can think of is they're going to go out of business in July 1st here, unless they figure out some other answer. But it was pretty cool, and I'll show you what it looked like on some of the other ones through there. Okay. Then next, the latest version of Google Analytics. Let's bear with me a little bit, where I'm going to escape, log into Google Analytics, and we're going to see what we can check out through there. Here we'll just look at one of my students here. So we could look at audience. Overview. Can do things like, let's see the site visitors in the last 30 days. Let's compare it to the previous 30 days. It's kind of a pretty good standard, just way of measuring the results here. And then it says, you know, in this instance here, from the last 30 days to this 30 days, we're down 15% visitors overall, is what this is showing. And this is the older version of Google Analytics through here. So then next we could, since we have that time and date set up, we could go down to acquisition, because that's important to say, like, how did we acquire those visitors? So I've had it go before where I'm just looking at this first number, and I have for example, a tutoring company, and I said, oh, you know, I'm sorry that the website traffic is down, I'll try harder, basically, something like that. And he's like, oh, I didn't tell you, we dropped our pay-per-click budget by $500 last month. Like, oh, well, no wonder website traffic is down, right? And then like, as the same example there, I remember saying something that was similar, and he said, and so he's a tutoring company. And I said, man, like, boy, like, we fell off a cliff here as far as searches. And he said, well, maybe that's because school just got let out for summer and nobody's looking for a tutor right now. Oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense totally. So see how, like, if you didn't have it zeroed into his business, you wouldn't really know what was happening there. So for his business, it would be worth not comparing last month to this month, maybe last year to this year. Now you could see if you're up or down. But we could look over here and say acquisition. This is going to tell us where people came from. Oh, there we go. Yep. All right. So this part is organic traffic. Direct traffic, that would be they already knew who you were. They did a search for your brand name. A referral means they clicked on a link from another website and came to you. Social means they came from social media channel. And then other is, you know, and then it shows up and down. So if you click on the social, then right here, Instagram stories, how many visitors from that, and YouTube. And so it's kind of nice, real information that you could, like, maybe not, it's so close that it's hard to really make any decisions. It's nice having this factual information in front of you here like that.
Bruce, is organic search? Can you describe what organic search is? Is that keywords?
You have to speak louder.
Sorry. Is organic search keywords?
Yes, yeah, it is. But it's, yeah, organic search is just the different keywords that are going through there. So if we look to, let's go back to the overview.
Can be also landing page.
Like what?
Landing page. You can also major landing page.
So notice how this is, most of them are not provided or not set. Like, we don't have anything. It's just a couple of off the charts kind of ones from people that don't happen to be logged into Google, or they did a search in Bing or Yahoo or something like that. Okay. And then now let's see. I guess let's find another client. We have the keyword hero aspect of it here. Just one second. I can't get out of it.
From Crazy Fox Digital.
Oh yeah, let me look. That's my problem. Yeah.
It just mirrors that Google change every
Yeah,
day, all the time.
Yeah.
Keep updating.
Mhm. Okay, so here's a nonprofit animal rescue place out of Atlanta. And we'll look at the keyword hero information. And then now we look at acquisition overview. Now we can go to organic search, and you see that, search is really the main driving point. That's all that really matters. So, we didn't really say, like, why does Google so mean in taking this information away from us? And it's because they make more money on Google ads. So, I mean, if you think about it, SEO is really just beating Google at their own game. And so, why should they make it easier for us? And on the other hand, maybe they're not even making it easier for us. Maybe it's like a smoke and mirrors thing. So if we're looking at data from Google, they're probably just redirected and telling us different things or like that. So here's the different keywords that this client is being shown for. Here, let's expand this to say 100 of them. So look at that. That's pretty cool. And that was just the addition of the keyword hero plugin. Let's go to here and add a secondary dimension, and then commonly used. Let me get to her. And pick page. Now, not only do we have the keyword that they search for, but we got the page that they landed on. There. Google Analytics, I remember from 15 years ago, so that was pretty much the way it was. Yeah.
I
have one question.
Yes.
Can we use Google Search Console reports, like keyword reports and?
Yeah. Yeah, so we had somebody ask a question in the room of, can we use Google Search Console to maybe get some of that information? And yeah, for sure. And we're gonna cover that in the next thing here, right? Yeah, we'll talk about that for sure. And even better, but no, don't say that Google doesn't know this, these answers are here, because it's just pulling it out of Google. That's all this tool is doing, is connecting the dots there. So cool, right? Okay, so let's go back to our tool and let's look at the latest version. So the GA4 Google Analytics. Let's use this same client. Oh, I guess this one doesn't have it. I don't have the information right at my fingertips here, and it's probably not worth me trying to find it. The basics here is that when you go on the new version of Google Analytics and you go in and say, oh, where's the acquisition? It's like, it's not even there. So it's gone. So it's like, why is Google saying this is cooler when it's like, it's just a stripped down version? Now, maybe that information is buried deeper that I didn't go exploring, but me personally, I gave up, because there's cooler places to get better information than all of that out there. And so I know that Google Analytics is kind of like the standard, and what do you really need to measure in Google Analytics? How many visitors went to your website? And maybe you just keep going with the Google Analytics and leave it like that. Okay, so next would be Google Search Console. That tool, that's to me the real pulse check of analytics inside of here. So it used to be called Google Webmaster Tools, and it's not so much of like the information of how many visitors and things like that, but it also is on top of that is like, is your website broken that Google notices? There's a lot of different things there. So I'll show you what that looks like, and I could easily do that. And if someone said to me, Bruce, how are we doing on our website? And you have 5 minutes, I would open up Google Search Console and get that data out of there. But a lot of times people are like, oh yeah, I use Google Analytics all the time. And I say something about Google Search Console and they're like, what's that? It's like, wow, that's where you should have, like, it's the tool that said that Google is not indexing 10 of your pages. Wouldn't you want to know that? That information is inside of Google Search Console. Yeah, it's hard without a mouse here, but I have a problem of using a mouse on the new laptop here. We'll just look at my training websites there. So inside of Google Search Console, there's a number of different places that you could pull information from. One of them would just be search results or performance. You can do a comparison between the last 28 days to the previous 28 days. And then, yeah. Oh, it's up here now. Thank you. All right, so this says impressions. So here's between last month and this month on this particular website. So here's the impressions that I had. Here's the clicks that I had. So a little bit more impressions and a little bit less clicks, it looks like here. And here's the keywords that people were doing searches for. Here, let's go back. So for example, here's how many people to search for the different keywords that I'm trying to rank my website for here. So you could easily see what that is. You could go in the comparison and say, okay, well, what about the last 7 days? We don't care necessarily of the last 28, or stretch it out even bigger than that. So in the last 7 days, then now there's more clicks than the week before. And then it talks about how many of those were. So that's one part of just the performance of your website at a glance. Another one is if you click on pages, and then there's a place inside of Google Search Console to add a sitemap here, and you should add a sitemap inside of here in the back end of it. Here it is, and it says how many pages you have. Then when you go into your pages, it shows you all of this information, but then you can filter it and say, no, not every page on my website, just the ones that are in the sitemap, the important pages. So then you could go like this. So this says, Google knows about 105 pages, and it doesn't know, or maybe it does know, but there's 4 pages on my website that are not indexed at this point in time. Maybe it's a latest blog post from a couple of days ago. Maybe it's a page that is poorly written. Maybe it's a page that doesn't have a lot of content on it, or it's duplicate content. There's reasons why Google chooses to ignore your website. Okay. So there's, in this instance, there's 2 different reasons. So it says there's a crawled, which means Google took the time to look through the pages, and it says there's something that we don't like about that. Or there's discovered and currently not indexed. That's more of, we see the page there and we just didn't have enough energy to check it out. We'll come back later. So you could click on this and scroll down. It's cracking the Google ranking code. I think it's a new post that just got added, perhaps. There's 3 icons that appear here. So the first icon copies the URL. Center one, if you click on it, you can open that page. And then so this is what it looks like. October 30th, pretty early. And then the third one is you could get this little magnifying glass. Oh, it says, so it was reporting it incorrectly, because here it says it is indexed by Google. If it wasn't, you could just click this button and say, please index this. It'll take a minute and go through it. And it goes, and then it'll end up being indexed. There's also a part here that says links. So there's a lot of tools that say where your backlinks are and how many you have and things like that. And it's never going to be the same number as what you see in this tool. This is Google, so this is pretty much the believable backlinks that Google is aware of. as opposed to the ones that are inside of Ahrefs. So there's different sections here. The top section is all of the individual pages that have links. So if we look at this, and it says the About Us page has 40 links from 25 different websites, so on and so forth. And then we could go back to the beginning, and we could look at the top linking sites and even export that to Google Sheets. And now you have real backlinks that Google is aware of. Even though other tools might be reporting that you have a backlink, it might not be accurate. And so then, this number or this total volume of all of those, that's probably something that you could record that says, okay, on this day, these are the backlinks that I had. Okay. You could add other people into Google Search Console so that they could view this information as well. You could, if you're the web designer, you could add the owner or something like that, or the marketing director onto here also. Okay, so now we could go back. And we can go to the next page. So here's Google Data Studio. I know even less about Google Data Studio, but it's complicated and it pulls the information from all over everywhere else. And we could look at what some of the reports look like. Probably, maybe I should have known more about it, but it's more of like it gets your reports to make it look nicely, and it's, it has like graphs that look like this. And you could connect them all together, and like it says, like, beautiful data. So that's, if you're trying to impress somebody to make it look pretty, that would be a tool that you could use. I do a lot of work with freelancers on Fiverr, and I know due to data studios is like, you probably could pay somebody to set up an initial data studio thing for you for low amount of money. So that's probably how I'm going to start myself, to like, here, let's see what we can get. Right. Sorry, I don't know more, but I'm kind of, the things that are important to me are some of the other ones. So there's this tool called Stat Counter. Let's see, slideshow. So I've been using Stat Counter since almost day one when I was doing SEO stuff. So I was looking for a tool that could identify the people that were on the website. So Google Analytics is, imagine that you're looking at a forest and you're standing on the road, and Google Analytics will tell you that 15% of the trees are oak and 25% of the trees are maple and things like that. Stat Counter is, you could go into the forest and look at this tree and say, oh, look at this fine oak, it's 27 feet tall and it's so wide, and blah, blah, blah. There's 3 squirrels that live up in the top of it. And so, and back in the old days, at Trade Tech, at the trade show display place, we would see things like Motorola was on our website. So like, so we're a major trade show display place. So if Motorola was on our website, who at Motorola? It's only the marketing director. You know what I mean? That's the only person it could be. And so then all we have to do is look up LinkedIn and say, who's the marketing director? Oh, it's Nina Petrushki. And that's a real life situation. And, I would collect those leads and give those to the salespeople. They would call. And I remember one time there's this junior sales rep, and I kind of laid it all out for him. I didn't like give him the answer, but I let him like self-discover. I'm like, oh, look at, like, wow, Motorola is on our website. I wonder who it is at Motorola. And he's like, oh, it's the marketing director. I wonder who she is. And I had the LinkedIn tab open on my next browser, like, oh, here she is, I think. And then he's like, oh, I wonder what her direct number is. Like, oh, here it is. We have another tool for that. And I'm like, why don't you go call her? Here's all this paperwork, go. And so they came back 20 minutes later and high-fived me and said, she's coming in next Tuesday. And then, so that was a client, Motorola, right? So they had probably 50 shows that we managed. Yeah, I don't know, it was a big client. And then other ones like Weber Stevens barbecue grills and Molex, all those were, we kind of captured them by using Stat Counter. Nowadays, Motorola no longer has like a T1 line into their building that was labeled with their company. So you can't get that. It's mostly just, you know, Comcast or those things like that, but it's still neat information. So let's go jump out of here and we'll go to Stat Counter. Bear with me 1 second. I have like a password tool and I think it's because I'm on a new IP address here. It's trying to have me do some extra stuff.
I have a question till then. Like, do you pay for that or like your
No, it's-
client pay for
So Stat Counter is free.
it? Like,
They have a paid version, of course.
Mhm.
It's even better. Upshot forms. Now, let's see it here. Okay. So this is probably the tool that I would use more than Google Analytics or anything else. You know, if I just want to check out what's happening through here. So we'll go to my SEO consulting website there. You could see that today I had 68 visitors. I don't know what happened now, but 152 visitors there. We can click this and then we can see that this might have been one of my employees, but so it's from San Jose, California, and they went on to one page. We have some more information about this particular person. like what kind of screen it was. The guys at the trade show display place would end up to able to, I'd give them the leads and they would be like, oh, this person has a small monitor. They probably don't have a budget that could afford our stuff. But it's like, come on, dude, make the call anyways. You never know, right? So maybe they're on their uncle's computer or something like that. You could get all of that information right out of here. Let's close this. But sometimes, well, always, the total count of how many visitors came yesterday to your website reported as Google Analytics and here. And, see, people have asked me like, which one can I trust? It's like, well, these are the real people, right? I mean, these are somebody from San Francisco with screen resolution and they went to these 10 pages and all that information is right here being used from StatCounter.
So it knows to not track any bots that are in your site.
Yeah, there's some of those are probably that's a challenge. I do see some of the bots sometimes doing that.
Can we measure which came from organic platform? Or that we have to pay for it?
Yeah, I'm not understanding what you're saying. Sorry, we had a question here, local.
Who came from organic, who came from social media over here, or for that we have to pay for it?
No, the way it works is if you pay for it, you'll get a longer period of time. For free, you only get it for so many, like the database is only so big and it's kind of reoccurring. So as long as you're just looking at, if you want to look at information over the last couple of days, it's free, is good. But if you want to like analyze who that person was a month ago, yeah, you don't have that anymore. That's what you'd have to pay for the real one. But the free one has been pretty well for me, really. So if we go to all of the clients that I have in this, yeah, so we could even look at visitor activity. That is visitor path. So here's the people and what pages they viewed, how long they were on those pages. So pretty cool information for no charge. All you have to do is, to get it installed, all you have to do is create an account at StatCounter, grab the, there's a WordPress plugin you would add and go from there. Okay. We could go on for a long time about StatCounter, that's for sure. Next screen. The next tool here is called Fat Rank. It's a little bit different on a website that you go to. It's a Chrome extension. And if you're just trying to get a quick, what am I ranking for this keyword or that keyword? Because there's so much data that's skewed of, your personalized results and where you are locally and things like that. So the way it works is just go to a website. So we were just going to go to Bruce Jones SEO.com. Doesn't matter what page that you're on. And then you would click on this little Fat Rank extension. You have to go to the website first though. Then you type a keyword in here. So I'm just going to say SEO consultant. Then you hit go. Then it comes back and it says, where are you in the world for that particular keyword and what page is represented. So let's just say, I said SEO consultant LA. That's not it. Oh, no. Well, anyways, I have a LA page that should have showed up through here, but this is a cool tool just to say like, you know, like I Google my business management service. Number 3 in Google for that keyword. So it's, you know, it was nice and easy. It's free. And you just add it to as an extension on Chrome, and then you're like, oh, I wonder how I'm ranking for this keyword or that keyword. It doesn't compile them or anything like that. But what it does do is you go to the website, you add a keyword, it tells you what position and what page is ranking for that particular keyword. All righty. And on to Microsoft Clarity. This is a totally awesome tool that probably nobody knows about. And somebody just mentioned it. It was a nonprofit that said something like, oh, Microsoft Clarity looks cool. And I'm like, oh, let me check it out. And it was like, oh my God, it's amazing. So let's check it out together. All right, so we'll look at this nonprofit, Cars of Hope in Naperville here. And so at a glance, it's all this cool numbers and reports and things like that. You know, that's already we're better than Google Analytics. Like what browsers were viewing the page and all those kind of things like that. We can say, all right, the last 3 days, I want to look at the last 30 days though. Okay. This is free too. And there's a recording tab. It'll actually record all of the visitors that came to your website and do a movie of them, of each one of them. So let's just find somebody. And hands off, and we can just see. Oh, I guess that one. That was a bounce. 37 seconds for this one. So you can see as they go down the page, what did they click on? What other pages did they go to? Pretty cool. There's also this thing called heat maps. So then you could say, okay, so let's look at the home page. We had in the last 30 days, that's the number of visitors we have. So where did they click? You know, one of the things, analyzing heat maps, looking at other people's websites and the clicks, things like that. It makes a big difference of the words, and everybody always wants to go to like the Meet the Team page. Everybody wants to know who they're going to work with, perhaps. So that's one of the most popular ones through here. Heat maps used to be part of Google Analytics. I mean, that was how it started out, and then they took it away. There was even A/B split testing. I remember going to like, where'd that go? Like, but no, you know, it's kind of, they brush it under the rug there like that. So Microsoft Clarity is pretty cool here, I think. Let's go back to next one.
Before that, I just want to mention that like, if we use Microsoft Clarity or like Hotjar, we have to just mention that in our privacy policy page that we are using, and we are recording everything.
Mhm.
So make sure like nobody, you know.
Yeah, so we had a question about a privacy policy thing there. Yep. And then, so this is the tool I use every day, 20 times a day, Ahrefs. I pay $100 a month for it, But if you could prove that you're the business owner or, you know, the web person by telling Ahrefs that you're connecting to it using Google Search Console, you could use it for free. So all of my SEO training students, that's probably what we set up day one. And some of the people are paying money for SEMrush, and they're like, oh yeah, but we couldn't afford Ahrefs. And I'm like, but Ahrefs is free. They're like, what do you mean it's free? Like, yeah, but you have to know how to get through there. There's so many things inside of Ahrefs. So let me show you that. So here's the secret of Ahrefs, of getting the free account. So you just go to the home page, but don't click on this sign up for a free trial. Click on this white little button down below here that says Ahrefs Webmaster Tools. And it'll then scroll to the bottom of the page, put your email address in there. It sends you an email, and then you set up the account, and then it'll say, okay, prove that you're the owner of that website. And so you'll have to log into your Google Search Console account and link the two of them together. Now you're good. And then so it really works nice. So now let's log in, sign in.
You cannot track the other websites, right? Just their own website.
Yeah, with the free version, you can only check the ones that you have. But there is, if you look in the resource tab there's some free tools that Ahrefs doesn't advertise, but it allow you to check your competitors' backlinks and things like that in there. Mhm. Sure.
Have you used SEMrush before?
Yeah, I have. So had somebody asked the question of, if I use SEMrush, actually, when the pandemic first happened, one of the salespeople at SEMrush said, they reached out to me and said, how would you like 6 months free SEMrush account? And you just have to tell us how you like it at the end. And I'm like, oh, that's like, what do I got to do? 6 months for free? I mean, that's pretty neat. And she's like, oh, just give me your email and I'll set it up. So she did. And in the end, it was like, I still use Ahrefs. I feel it's still better, even though it's like, if I could get that one forever for free, I still would pay the money for Ahrefs.
Tell them I'm not branding.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay, so here we'll go through. So which one are we gonna do? So all of the information about this one website I could have for free if I just, connected it with Google Search Console, and I did anyways, even though I'm using the paid version of it through here. Things like, here's the overview of the site. And this talks about like the domain rating, how many backlinks, how many referring domain, what keywords we're ranking for, how much traffic, the value of the traffic, all of that. So we could click on the organic keywords and kind of slice and dice the information through here of, how hard it is to rank for that particular keyword, what position you are, how many people are searching for that particular keyword. You could even drill in and look at the top pages of your website. That's a very popular view that I look at. So then, as all of my blog posts, I'm trying to get them all to rank, and I could see how well it's working for one as opposed to another one. So let's see here. SEO for veterinarians. So it's saying that I'm ranking for 42 different keywords. Here's what the rankings are for that particular one and what the volume is. Also, it says how many backlinks I have for it on that page as well. There's even a broken backlink checker. So if there's somebody that's linking to a page that I don't have listed on my website. It tells me that, so I could fix that. It even has a paid keyword tool as well through there. So I would say that this is a very important tool to have if you really wanted to spend a little bit of time analyzing your website results. There's also like a list of keywords that you could put in there that it'll send you an email every week that says, this week you're ranking this number for these keywords, and going through there like that. What are other ones? You can look at referring domains. So these are the backlinks that we have going to the website, and then all of the other links through here. Okay, so then let's keep going. So clicky. I don't have an account that I could show you on this particular one, but it's very similar to Stat Counter. It'll drill in and tell you all that information about the visitors. It also has a heat map in there. It installs the same way that you create an account on Clicky, put a plugin in there, or if you didn't want to have an extra plugin in WordPress, it'll just give you the code you could put on your page template or one of the files like that. Here's a link to that to check out yourself. I've used Clicky before, that is, but it just seems like the Stat Counter is good enough. I didn't need that advanced of a tool to just get the information there. Next tool is Screaming Frog. That's not an online tool, but it's a program that you download and install on your computer. So it's created in England. You download the program, you run it, you scan your website, and it'll tell you more like batch analysis with everything. Like, here's all of your pages, and here's the meta description tags, and 47 of them are missing a meta description tag, and 12 of them are too long, and 2 of them are too short. So there's really a lot of great information for improving your website, drilling into there. A lot of times we hired to do on-page SEO, and so we use Screaming Frog to do an export and say, here's what the before is, and put it out on a spreadsheet, and then now we could change it, and now you could kind of easily say, like, it was this, now it's this, everybody's happy. Like, if anybody says, no, put it back, we have a record of what that was through there. That's the free tools. Now, there's a couple of paid tools that are worth talking about, and just, maybe you get the trial or whatever, but I tried to just talk about the free ones initially through there. So Majestic SEO, they have a trial, but it's a paid tool in the end, and that's really all about backlinks. So when I had my agency, we used Majestic SEO to create the ranking reports for our clients, and it would go out every month to them. There's CallRail. It's an analytic program that is related to phone numbers, and I'm an SEO guy, so really, when people would ask me like, oh, do you do Google Ads? I would say, no, I'd never seen any money ever SEO or pay-per-click or Google Ads is not effective in my opinion. And then I have a friend that's what he does. And so I said, like, I had clients that wanted to use Google Ads, and I hired my friend to do this thing, and we installed CallRail, and we were able to listen to the recordings of people that clicked on a Google ad and talked to my client, and they were sold and they made a purchase. So my friend said, now tell me that money didn't change hands from that person to your client, and it came in from an ad. Would you agree? Yes. So then he convinced me that Google Ads did make my client money, and CallRail was one of the tools that proved it. And so it was like so totally awesome. We could see things even that like sales reps were asleep on the job or things like that, even that we're able to, or they're saying the wrong things like, why did Joe tell the client this, you know, that type of thing. And so that was really helpful. That particular business is like cash for junk cars out of Florida. And so, you know, it's all about the phone calls of someone has a junk car in their backyard they want to get rid of, how much you're going to get rid of it. Well, you know, what kind of car you have, here's the price, come on over the same day and take care of it like that. So it's like bam, 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 they run through a lot of them. And so CallRail was a cool tool to be able to go through that way.
Now it's also mentioned like organic search, like if you call from GMB, it will also show you like you call from GMB.
Yeah, there's, so it's like the sources of the phone calls, you were able to track all that. So like from Google My Business or from paid ads or from organic and all those kind of things like that. Another tool here is Agency Analytics. It's a paid tool, but it really does a good job of, you know, does the ranking reports. If I was rich, I would use Agency Analytics to give nice reports to all of our clients there. You could check out the trial maybe through there. It's very nice looking reports. You could white label them even for your clients. And then that's it for the different tools. Main thing is that you're in charge of your own destiny. And so, you know, to look at all the different tools and figure out what's important to you to measure and how do you measure them effectively. Some of the things, even like Google Analytics, it used to be that we would set up a Google Analytics account and then we would go and kind of put a report together and then just have it emailed to the client every month. So now they, you know, they knew what we were doing. They saw the report and thought it was sent from me, and you know, it was nice because it went right through there like that. So you have to improve the, you know, that I guess in the end, how can you prove that you've made things better if you don't follow the steps along the way and make it a you know, progression type of thing? Feel free to hire us and we'll get your rankings better. And then here's all of the different resources through here. So some of the other ones that are worthy of checking out yourself, right? Okay, so I should answer questions now. So I have a question internal in the room first here. Yeah.
So when you decide to make a blog post or page, how do you decide which one is the right form to have?
How do you make it where it's optimized the best?
So, for example, if you're SEO consultant for Chicago, do you
Mhm.
create a page for that, or do you create a blog post?
Either one. But so, yeah, the question was, how do you optimize a page for a particular keyword? Doesn't matter what keyword it is, but you should do the math and figure out what, if you are going for the right keyword. The next thing would be to do a search for that keyword and see how many words the competitor has got on their page, number one. Because if they have 3,000 words, you're not going to make a page that of yours of 500 words and beat that person. So you need to have a 3,000 word landing page or blog post as well as whatever like the average of the winners are there. Next would be that the density of that keyword should be a certain percentage. So like at least 1%, but not more than 3%. So you have to say that keyword. So that means in 1,000 words, you have to mention that keyword 10 times. To say that, or even to look at that, it looks kind of like you're a spammer, but that's what works in Google. So that's the tough job of trying to write creatively and not make it look like you're just a spammer from somewhere else, right? So have it go through there. And then the next thing is, if you make a page, Google's going to ignore it, or you'll be number 50 in Google without getting backlinks to that page. So usually I would make that page. I would let it soak in for a couple of weeks. I'd be like, oh, I'm number 50 in Google. I would get a couple of backlinks, maybe just go to Fiverr and buy a few links to that page. And now I check it again in a few weeks. I'm number 20. Okay, I get a couple more links. Now I'm number 10, number 5. And, you know, that's how all of this is, that's how I do it. And some places, it's not Fiverr, it's better places to get backlinks, but really it comes down to getting a link from another powerful website to that page. That'll end up to be more powerful. And then, so Claire, you have any questions from online there?
We don't. Does anybody online have any questions? Doesn't look like it, no. Thanks, Ken.
Okay.
Click from manage.
I'm sorry. It's hard for me to hear.
Why you manage, like added resource as a managed WP? Is it related for SEO?
Oh, so Manage WP is a tool that will help you, like your different websites that you have. So there's some things like it'll do keyword ranking as one of the components. It'll tell you if the website, there's an uptime manager. So if the website dies, it'll tell you. So I figured I would put it in here just to see if that's good or not.
I thought it's like, is it related to SEO? That was my question. Yeah.
Yeah, I use Manage WP. I always looked at their SEO tool is like, you know, the very eye, because I don't know if it's actually pulling it and like the, because I don't want to like show it to, like, oh, it's on
Or
to really
WordPress.
well, you did really.
Yeah. I have- There's a web designer he was one of my students, and then I referred him to another client of mine that needed help like that. And so he convinced him to get on like Manage WP, and it has a white label report. And it's like, that was a nice looking report. It's like, and the client even, and my, that guy, he's a website designer in Naperville, he was charging $100 a month to manage the website like that for him. I'm like, $100 a month. It's like, we're only paying like $15 on Manage WP, even with all the bells and whistles turned on. So it's nice. It's also a nice, easy way to just log into the websites from this back end like this. So you know, if I have other employees, I don't need to necessarily create an account. I could just give them access to this and they can get connected through there.
Casey Witcher has a question.
Sure.
Are there any ways to get automated reports for backlinks other than Ahrefs or SEMrush paid versions? He's trying to get the data into Data Studio or Looker.
Yeah, not that I am aware of that for free. There's like not the automated ones. So you could create an Ahrefs account and have it go through there, but I don't think it's going to give you an automated report for backlinks for the free version though. There's a bunch of other tools that'll just kind of tell you what the backlinks are, like SEMrush and things like that. But not that it like just sends you an email every week. I might be able to think of something later on. It doesn't come to mind right at the moment.
Use the being webmaster, use Zapier, connect to that. It will be hard process.
Yeah. And, you know, another part related to backlinks is if you get backlinks, it doesn't necessarily mean that Google recognizes your backlinks. So there's some places like Local Citations where I had like a divorce lawyer in Las Vegas. He bought from the Hoth 700 backlinks. So at minimum, they're $100 each. So like, wow, that's a lot of money, right? So if you add all that up. So then we ran them through this tool that said, are these links indexed by Google? And the answer was 20% of them were indexed. So like the client was livid. And he's like, only 20% of the links I bought were indexed by Google. And it's like, yeah, that was pretty much it. I went to the Hoth and asked them that question. The Hoth didn't have a good answer. They had a canned response because they've answered it before. Looked like it was copied and pasted. You know, it's like mostly it's not our job to do that. So then there's other tools like Elite Indexer is one of the indexing tools that I use for every backlink that I get now. And so that works like a miracle. And that like all of those links, we got 67% of them indexed in 2 weeks after I ran it through that one tool, all of those. So that was a big shot in the arm, a good boost through there.
Um, For like doing local citations.
Yeah, so Nancy asked about who do we use for local citations? There's Bright Local is a good one for local citations. There's citation aggregators also. So that's like there's 3 or 4 websites that you could get from Bright Local to you pay them $100 and they kind of connect you to the like the Borg collective, the Borg of local citations. But then I usually just go to Fiverr and there's some people that'll sell you 350 of them for $20, $30. But what I found, and I've kind of thought through it a little bit, is like when you get a big pile of local citations, you give them one business description. And so then I'm thinking like all the other listings, it's like, what value are these additional ones? So maybe I would be more likely to get an order of 20 local citations and pay only $5 and put one business description and then get another 20 and get another 20. Now I'll have a mix of things that are more unique text instead of 350 of them with all the same exact text. Right.
We have a question from Sandra L. Do you have a preferred structured data tool or plugin for structured
Yeah,
data?
yeah. So I do a lot with structured data, and there's a tool that's a plugin, WP SMO or something like that. Let me check it out real quick. Here, if you look at my website here, there's a tab that's all about structured data tools. I don't know if that plugin is in here. Well, it should be, I guess, now that I realize that. So some of my employees, I was training them to add structured data to our client's website. And they asked the question of like, well, what structured data should we add to each page? And I said, well, that's a good question because I don't know the answer of that right off the top of my head. And so I looked out there for the answer and I don't think anybody put that together. So then I said, okay, this is going to be a little bit rough maybe, but let's put that knowledge together ourselves. So we have this whole tool that said, for example, if you have a blog post, this is the structured data I should use. For your About Us page, this is the structured data you should use. All of that information. And then let's see what plugin it is. This is it here, WP SEO structured data. And so the way it works is you add the plugin, there's some homepage kind of configuration, but I'll show you what it looks like at the page level. Okay, here we'll just look at this landing page for Brooklyn. So here's the structured data plugin. So for example, is it an article? Yes, it's an article because it has a check mark. Is it a tech article? No. Is it an event? No. And so here's the secret. I remember years ago, I was at one of the events here in this classroom, and someone asked the question of, how do you get the stars to show up in search results? And I didn't know the answer of that one, but I figured it out, and it's product structured data. That's the trick. So you just add product structured data, then you fill in the blanks with, here's how many reviews you have, and here's what your review score is. It's kind of crazy, but whatever you put is what Google trusts. So I put 101 one time, and it was like, holy mackerel, it shows 101 reviews. But it comes down to like, somebody's going to call me on that because they're going to look at my profile. So I put it back to, close to reasonable. So let's just do a Google search here now and just say like, SEO consultant Brooklyn. Then there's the reviews and there's the stars underneath there. So we're at the top here, but a different one that maybe we're number 4 or 5. I bet you I probably get just as many clicks as number 1, just because that catches people's eyes. Someday this will go away, maybe. But I've been. What was that?
Right there. I use that instead of yours.
Yeah, I know rank math too. There's a lot of things. Yeah, there's some structured data components too, but not to the same degree as what that one plugin has, though.
I have a question. Is it for structured data farming? Because you don't have product on the side. Is it? I have, because I have done that. Like I added, to get aggregated ratings, to see, to get better rankings and all. But now Google updated lots of updates, like algorithm updates, and in Google, like Webmaster tool, you can see all the products that you have. And now, if you are selling services, it will show you, like, if you added structured data, like product structured data, then it will show you in Google Webmaster. Like if you have like service page, and in service page you added product schema to get, like aggregated ratings, but it will show you in Webmaster, like in product tab.
Yeah, there's a little, it's like a schema part inside of Webmaster tools or a Google Search Console that tells you a little bit of that stuff. And I had to go before too, where one of my team members didn't fill out the structured data completely. And so then Google Search Console threw up an error and it got sent to the client. Then the client's like, hey, what's this? I thought you guys were experts. And it's like, oh, we just forgot to fill in one of the blanks there, like that. Yep. Okay.
For example, when someone search for consultant for Brooklyn, Florida.
Yeah.
Is it kind of the same pages? How do you deal with the
It's a new page. So new page, unique content, 1,500 words, and it goes like that. So my writer, he's from the Philippines. He charges $20 for 1,000 words. I add it to my website. I kind of make it nicer looking, where I add some pictures, make sure you optimize the pictures for the right names too, and then get some backlinks. And so all in all,
They look similar, for example, for SEO consultant in Brooklyn versus Florida. Similar.
Duplicate or?
no, there's nothing duplicate. Everything is original. Yep. So we're fixing that problem for other people that like one of that junkyard thing, they had 50 pages on their website. The only thing different was the name of the town. It's like, so of course they're not being ranked anywhere. So now we're creating new content and now they're doing much better than like that. Right. Okay. So what
got
are
a
we,
question.
how long do we have the room for here anyways? What it's supposed to be?
We've got it till 9. So, but you
Wow.
can stop talking whenever you want.
If somebody else wants to get up here and say anything about theirs too. I don't know
I
what
do
else
have
I
one
could
more
say.
question from Casey. Wants to know what you use SEO Quake for mainly.
I don't know. I probably just have it installed there just to, as another
Check my
tool.
data
Yeah.
items and-
Checking out different things. Yeah. Mhm. One of the things I didn't mention that's part of the slide though is, with SEO, there's a lot of opinions that are out there. And so I would say you shouldn't even take my opinion or believe what I'm saying. You should run your own experiments and see what really works. That's how you really know what it is. When I started going down the path of this and doing a lot of Google My Business things, there was a couple of pretty experts, and hearing what they said, it's like, wow, can I believe that what they're saying? Maybe they're steering me in the wrong direction. So I ended up hiring them. And then now I were able to monitor what they were doing and I just duplicated it now. And so that worked out pretty well. So it wasn't just like believing that.
I do have
Yep.
a question going way back to the beginning when you said that you couldn't track when the thank you message appeared on a form.
Yes. Mhm.
I thought you could set an event in analytics. to watch for that.
It's a goal in Google Analytics,
Okay.
but it has to be not that the form, there's no place to say there's an event there like that. But when you set a goal, you say that somebody went to this page. That's the thank you page. That's the goal is
Right, but
being
you
completed.
can't track if they click the submit on your form.
Yeah, correct. Yep.
You can track it, but sometimes, they multiple like click on submit button, then it will be duplicate goal.
Yeah.
In your
So
event.
you-
So it's
you could-
better to,
So
hold-
you could set the click submit as a goal. for an
If you
event,
have a thank you page, right? So, but you
but
could
not if-
measure,
not if you have a thank you message.
not the a way that I know of, because
Okay.
inside of the goal, it's like what's the destination of the goal? It has to be a page, or it has to be something like they're on a page
But you still
longer than
have to track
period.
events. If
Mhm.
they clicked on something or
Like
they
GTM,
scrolled a certain
it's
distance or something like that.
Yeah, outside of my range of knowledge there, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
can do
Mhm.
that. It's through like Google Tag Manager.
Yes, okay.
Oh, that's why Casey said, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother tool that's not in this either. It's like,
Lots of
why,
things.
why do they even have so many different
I knew I
things?
seen it somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, Google Tag Manager. Okay, got it. Thank you.
I think they're just, in some ways, they're just trying to confuse people. And it just, I don't know. In the end, what do you do, right? Okay.
What about is your checklist for starting a new website?
That's next session.
Right.
Yeah. So,
So,
yeah. So just like a checklist, a SEO checklist. So every part of SEO is, you could break it down into 3 pieces: keywords, content, and backlinks. So everything comes back to that, right? So it's sort of almost like, it's like, where are you in your journey of trying to optimize some things? Like, well, did you do the keyword research to make sure that that was the best keyword? Like, oh, I didn't do that. Like, well, then don't do anything else. And then did you develop the content that's the most optimized content? And then without that, it doesn't matter if you had 1,000 backlinks, because it's not going to rank, because the content's not optimized for that keyword in the end. And then you just kind of like a rinse and repeat type of thing. So, and you have to make sure that the keyword that you're searching for is, what your target audience is looking for, and it's going to equal something. Sometimes I might hear people like, well, but this keyword, it has 1,000 people visiting it. It's like, yeah, but that's red widgets. you sell green widgets. Like, yeah, but someone that's looking for a red widget might want to buy a green widget. Like, no, it's actually a bounce. And it's like, that's worse than not even having a visitor come to your website in the beginning. So Google's going to be like, oh, this is a bad experience. Never put this website at the top anymore for any of those kind of searches. So, you know, if your keyword only has a small little bit of people that are looking for it, it's okay, because that means it's a smaller mountain that you can get to the top of that. Okay. All right, we can close
All
the
right.
Zoom meeting here. Is that all right?
Thanks,
I'll
thanks,
let you-
everyone. Thanks
Yeah.
for attending via Zoom. We hope to be doing this again in the future.
Yeah, and so we'll put the recording. That'll be a link to that inside of the meetup. And
Yeah,
go
we'll put
from
it in the
there.
comments on the meetup page.
Okay. I see.
Bye. Right.
So stop share. And